Heat kills. I live in Houston, Texas. It's really hot here in the summertime. It's often hot here in the wintertime too, but that season only lasts a week or two. But even that's nothing compared to the inside of a computer. Electricity flowing really fast through the CPU and circuit boards generates a ton of heat, and that heat has to go somewhere, otherwise bad things will happen, like smoke. Dead computer, and no one gets to have any fun at all. Computer manufacturers use several methods to move heat. These methods fall into two categories, passive and active. I'm not making this up. Clearly, no marketing people were involved in naming cooling methods by function. They could have called these methods something exciting, like they do with cars, like Viper-cooled or Cobra Flow. Oh well, back to the mundane. Let's start with passive cooling. Passive cooling relies on air. Computer parts heat up and that heat dissipates, kind of like when a dog opens her mouth and the heat flows out. Devices that need more cooling use copper or aluminum structures called heat sinks to draw heat from electronic parts and help that heat dissipate in the air. Here's a tiny computer called a Raspberry Pi. I know, cute, right? Doesn't taste anything like pie. Not that I tried it or anything. Anyway, it has no moving parts, but it can power a monitor, handle a keyboard, load an operating system, and when it works, it generates heat. The tiny aluminum things you can see here, these are heat sinks to help cool components. Passive cooling works great as long as the parts don't use too much electricity or as long as the temperature in the room isn't too high. So what do you do if the air conditioning goes out? Active cooling is the next step. Active cooling in a nutshell means using some kind of device to push or pull heat away from computing components. I'm going to show you an older system because it's easy to see the active cooling devices. The power supply in this computer has a big fan that pulls cool air in from the front of the case and pushes hot air out. The case also has a couple of fans to help make this work. The primary processor has both a heatsink and a fan. Other components have active or passive cooling, as you can see here. One of the other ways you can do active cooling is through liquid cooling. That functions like the engine cooling in most automobiles. You have a radiator filled with fluid that moves around to dissipate heat. Here's an example. Here's a heatsink connected to a radiator that fills with fluid that we can then attach a fan to and pull heat out. As a fun side effect, some of these systems sound like fish tanks. Very tranquil.